So what? Show up again tomorrow. And tomorrow out of that dog shit, a flower will emerge. You never know. And that's the only way to develop real.
And you understood that you don't need to go back to that mistake again.
These things in life are not easy for me. You look to your left, you look to your right, and you start to judge yourself off other people.
I'm a winner. I'm going to win. You're born with a gift. It's not that then you get good at something along the way. What you're good at, you don't take for granted. You don't betray it. What if you do? Betray your gift? And you betray yourself. For far too long, you've been holding yourself back. This is time for you. To walk with purpose, it's time for you. To walk into your gift.
Like, to really develop your potential 100% in anything, whether it's as an author or even as a martial artist. There's a lot of creativity in martial arts. To be a great striker, you have to be creative because you have to develop patterns or execute patterns that aren't going to be perceived. This idea that life is hard, something you're supposed to shield from them, it's so silly. And, you know, I've had this conversation with my friends because, so we put our kids in these good schools, we live in these nice neighborhoods, everybody eats healthy, and there's no fucking domestic violence, and everybody seems, it's so different than all of our lives. And we were talking about it. Me and Brian Callen were actually talking about it.
And yes, sometimes you may make the same mistakes, but those mistakes can be even more crucial in your life. And this is why you must continue to push forward and get rid of the things that are not making you better. The battle continue. Carry on. Be productive. Be powerful. And from the bottom of my heart, conduct your business. Lights, camera, action. How much action do you have flowing through your veins right now?
And they're all interesting, but I don't want my kids to be boring, but I also want them to be safe. So it's like, how do you approach that? I mean, I think you get involved. This is what I've chosen to do, is get my kids involved in martial arts and give them the opportunity to pursue difficult things, and understanding that through pursuing these difficult things, like in accomplishing stuff, like you learn something about yourself. You learn that you have this ability inside of you to overcome. Get obsessed with life improvement. Find things that you enjoy doing that are difficult, do them and get better at them. It seems so simplistic. It seems like a ridiculous, idealistic point of view, but it's effective. Well, you need some amount of pride and some amount of ego to get good at things in the first place, because it's such a counterintuitive notion, because you have to have a belief in yourself. You have to be able, like when you start out at jiu-jitsu, you're a white belt. Like, I remember being a white belt and being like, oh.
How far are you willing to push yourself? Or are you the type of person that likes to sell wolf tickets? Like to fake the funk? Pretending you're doing something when you're really not? How much effort are you honestly putting into your craft, into your ideas, into your work? Whatever it is that you got going on in your life, what are you prepared to do? Action. Think about that for a minute. How long have you been stuck in a rut, constantly making the same mistakes over and over again? But there's nothing wrong with mistakes. But why do you keep making them? The same mistakes. Keep making yourself, putting yourself in a position where you can't go beyond those mistakes. Constantly making excuses. All you're doing is preaching. All you're doing is putting out words. But there's no action. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to put the action in. You got to be about your business.
It's time for you to live your best life. We're going to make mistakes. You got to own them. Then you got to make amends. And then you got to move on, so turn the page, get off the ride. You are the author of the book of your life. Turn that page. The only person you're destined to become is the person you decide to be. You never made a mistake, it means you never tried. If you never tried, means you never took a chance.
Like, if you're a female, well, she's skinny and she doesn't work out as hard as I do, and everything starts to corrupt your mind. You start to look around too much at other people and what they're doing, and that starts to corrupt your own dialogue. We are judging ourselves against too many people. You have to judge yourself against yourself. And that's the one thing I started learning, man. This isn't a race against me and other people. This is a race against David Goggins and David Goggins alone. And once you can silence all that bullshit, all the outside interference and things that are attracting your mind to everything, you can then start to grow and realizing I'm stressed out for no reason. This is my own little race. This is my own timeline, and this is how I'm gonna run it. The conversation has to become an honest conversation of where you're at mentally. Where am I at mentally?
If you never took a chance, you never believed in yourself. You never had faith. You need faith, you need to believe in yourself. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. What matters is you keep getting up every day and trying again. That's what really is important. Knowing that you know each day you have an opportunity to change, but I want to give you a new word for change. And that word is evolution. And who are you? Going to evolve or inspire, see everything.
What you believe you deserve, and you're allowing it to happen. And I'm going to challenge you today to stop that. Stop allowing it and know that you deserve better. And so we're going to talk about something very ironic today that doesn't seem connected to it, but it's absolutely connected to it. And that's ego. See, the truth is ego is always false. Ego is always something that raises its head when we're insecure, when we're fearful. If you meet people that you think are egomaniacs that are constantly bragging about themselves, these are the most insecure people that you know. They're the most fearful people that you know. They're the most scared, and they're usually the least happy. And so, but I'm going to say something to you today. I want you to consider as I go through ego today. I know you think, wow, I'm so down on myself. How could I have an ego? It's actually the people that are down on themselves that actually have their ego materialize and show up more often than they think. And it's their ego that may actually be holding them back. You think, wow, how could someone with low self-esteem have a big ego? Well, trust me, they do. And so egos are not part of people with high self-esteem. The people in my life that are the most self-confident typically don't have big egos.
Look like shit. I feel like shit. I'm falling behind in school. I'm lazy. My house is a mess. You have to look at what it is and call it what it is. Don't find words to make yourself feel better. Because we hang around people that make us feel better, that tell us what we want to hear, not what we need to hear. And so we stay away from those people. And we stay away from those people, like our internal dialogue becomes that kind, it's okay. It's not okay. So that's where it starts. It starts with that accountability of it's not okay anymore. This can no longer be okay. And calling yourself out for exactly what you are and exactly how you need to fix it.
We have an epidemic in this world. The epidemic I'm talking about it
changes, the economy changes, relationship changes, we change mentally and emotionally and physically, and you are either dying or you are either living life. Always offers you a second chance. You know what it's called. Tomorrow, see change as growth, see change as transformation, see change as evolution. Your history is not your destiny. You can't get it because you want it. If you put in the work, they can't deny you.
And so I want to talk to you about that today. By the way, I'm covering this today like many things I cover because it's something I struggle with. My ego will step forward often in my life, and it usually steps forward when I'm the most scared. It could be when I'm achieving. I'm starting to be pretty full of myself, right? But a lot of times when you're achieving and you're full of yourself, what's really happening in your mind is you're afraid you're going to fall down. You're afraid you're going to lose something. You're afraid there's going to be a setback. So often our friends where we see their ego is when they're doing good. Or she thinks she looks so good, she's showing herself. Actually, she doesn't think she looks good, and she's looking for validation from other people. You guys that have a friend, he's really winning, he's making a lot of money, he's just not the same. He's got a big ego all of a sudden. You'd be surprised. That money he's making, that car he's driving now, he's so afraid he's going to lose it. He's so scared. He so believes his results have exceeded who he really is. He's so out over his skis that ego shows up because he's afraid. When you see ego, know it usually means fear. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's true.
The other thing that you have to learn is when you hold on to your history, you do it at the expense of your destiny. When you consider you cannot give energy, but in so many directions, that you are a limited resource. And if you're going to spend all that energy energizing where you've been,
Wow.
then you're not going to have the fuel and the fire and the tenacity and the aggressiveness that you need to energize where you're going.
Wow.
Women are taught to think that it is powerful to hold people hostage with what they did wrong, that that's your power, that's how you get back. No, I didn't forget it, and I'm strong, and I'm tough. But it takes more strength to forgive than it does to be vengeful and angry. And the worst part about it is, I really believe that forgiveness does not exonerate the perpetrator. It does not justify their behavior. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself because you let it go so that you are available to be your highest and best self, and because you are saying that it is not stronger than me. I disconnect from it as a sign that I am in control of it, and it is not in control of me. It has been my philosophy. If I had held on to all the things that happened to me in my childhood and in my life, I wouldn't be standing here today. I had to realize that when you rehearse those visions and images, you empower them. You actually enshrine them. I decided to cast down the idols of my history and to embrace the possibilities of my destiny so that I was available when God's roll call was made. Are you present and available for what I want to do in your life right now? My hands are free. Here I am. Pick me. I'm ready to go.
Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different.
I think for myself, and I know many of you, you think forgiving means accepting what has happened to you. Well, it is accepting that it has happened to you. Not accepting that it was okay for it to happen. It is accepting that it has happened, and now what do I do about it? Forgiving is giving up the hope, not holding on, hoping, wishing that it could have been any other way than it actually was. Giving up the hope that the past could be any different. And when I got that, I think it took me to the next level of being a better person, because I don't hold grudges for anything or any situation, and neither should you. It's letting go so that the past does not hold you prisoner, does not hold you hostage.
This truth has been fundamental in allowing me to live my best life. It was transformative. You have to come to the realization that what might have been is not what is. Easy to hear, I know, and harder to do. You can accept or reject the way you are treated by other people, but until you heal the wounds of your past, you will continue to bleed. You can bandage the bleeding with food, with alcohol, with drugs, with work, with cigarettes, with sex, she said, but eventually it's gonna ooze through and stain your life. You must find the strength to open up the wounds, stick your hands inside, pull out the core of the pain that is holding you in your past, the memories, and make peace with them. So here's the formula. Accept what has happened. Forgive others. Forgive yourself. Accept the now. That is the recipe to begin healing. And give up the hope that the past could have been anything other than what it actually was. Whatever happened, help to make you, you. I challenge you to think about and to ask yourself, where do you need forgiveness in your own life? What resentment are you holding on to that in turn is holding you back? My hope is that you find the courage to relinquish all your grudges, because what I do know for sure is that on the other side of forgiveness is the freedom to live the life for which you were intended and the one you actually deserve.
Forgiveness of yourself and of others will release you from the prison of the past. Thoughts of bitterness cannot create joy. No matter how justified you feel you are, no matter what they did, if you insist on holding on to the past, then you will never be free. Forgiveness is a tricky and confusing concept for many people. There is a difference between forgiveness and acceptance. Forgiving someone does not mean that you condone their behavior. It really has nothing to do with the other person. The reality of true forgiveness lies in setting ourselves free from holding on to the pain. When you do not flow freely with life in the present moment, it usually means you are holding on to a past moment. Only in the present moment can you create your future. If you are holding on to the past, you cannot be in the present. It is only in this now moment that your thoughts and words are powerful. So you really don't want to waste your current thoughts to continue to create your future from the garbage of the past. When you blame another, you give your own power away because you are placing the responsibility for your feelings on someone else. People in our lives may behave in ways that trigger uncomfortable responses in us. However, they did not get into our minds and create the buttons that have been pushed. Taking responsibility for our own feelings and reactions is mastering our ability to respond. In other words, we learn to consciously choose rather than simply react.
The person you were in the past is a different person than you are today. The person you are today wouldn't do those things because you now have wisdom, you have hindsight, you have intelligence, you understand consequences. So the person you are today is a different person from the person you were back then. So don't keep beating yourself up because that other person, another person, did something that today you disapprove of. All right? Just let yourself go. Let yourself off the hook. And when you let it all go, it's almost like a huge burden off your back. You just forgive everybody and you forgive everything, and on a go-forward basis, you just forgive everybody. You don't have any negativities at all. No negativity toward anybody. You're just a positive person. And if you'll do that, if you accept responsibility, like yourself, and forgive everyone else, you become a truly superior person. Most amazing darn thing.
Who are you allowing to influence you? Are they challenging you, inspiring you, pushing you forward? You don't have time to waste with people that bring out the worst in you. Life is flying by. We don't get a do-over. This is it. Well, what if I hurt their feelings? What if you miss your destiny? What if they keep you from becoming who you were created to be? They may not want it bad enough. They may be okay with mediocrity, compromise, and barely getting by in life. That's their choice, but that's not who you are. You have seeds of greatness. You're destined to leave your mark. You weren't created to fit in, to be average, to live with addictions, dysfunction, lack, struggle. You were created to stand out in the crowd, to be a cut above. Now do your part and distinguish yourself. Be willing to do what others won't do. Yes, it takes discipline. Yes, you have to say no to carnal desires, but the pain of discipline is less than the pain of regret. It's hard to bite your tongue, not say what you feel, but that pain is less than the pain of having someone you love walk away. It's hard to lay off the junk food, things that are not good for you. That pain is less than the pain of not being healthy. It's hard to break away from a friend that's pulling you down, but that pain is less than not reaching your dreams. One of the saddest things is to come to the end of life and wonder what I could have become. What if I wouldn't have let those people talk me out of my miracle? What if I would have broken away from those friends that were causing me to compromise? Where would I be? What if I would have treated my spouse with respect? What if I would have taken that step of faith in my career and not played it safe all the time? You don't have to wonder. You can start right now. It is not too late to become who God's created you to be.
And the only way you can set the example is you have to always be willing to work. I don't follow people who talk about what they used to do in life. I don't give a fuck what you used to do. I don't care, like, you used to be the basketball. I don't care. What are you doing today? You may not be that person now, but what are you still doing to try to excel in life? And a lot of people now are talking. I hear so much talk. I don't hear a lot of work. I hear a lot of people telling you what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, how you should be fucking living. And I look at them and you're fat, you're out of shape, you look like shit, but you're telling a motherfucker how to live. No, man, I won't listen to you. There's so many people speaking this shit. And that's what bothered me a lot in the military. There's a lot of people talking shit. I don't see the real suffering behind it, behind what you're saying. That's why everybody said, man, you talk with so much passion because it's a real fucking place. It sucks to get up in the morning time. It was raining like cats and dogs. I want to get my shoes on and go run. But guess what? I got my shit on and ran. We all have time. We all have time. What you've done wrong is that you didn't prioritize yourself. You didn't prioritize that, look, motherfucker, I got to get up and win this war today against myself. I need to look better. I need to feel better. I need to eat better. I need to prioritize time. We waste so much time on our little gadgets. It's unreal. And we talk about we have no time. If you really you have to take your day and write down this one day. Everything you do, write that down. And you're like, my God, I am wasting so much time on frivolous bullshit. It's not even funny. I mean, if it doesn't infuriate you, it should. Because there's so much time. I can't get it in. Look at your schedule. You just wasted 7 hours today on bullshit. I mean, and you don't have an hour a day to try to get something in for yourself. I guarantee everybody can find an hour. It's fucking miserable. It is miserable. I mean, to get up every day or 5 days a week, whatever, when it's snowing, shiny, not shiny, not comfortable, and to go in the gym and work out when you don't want to go to the gym, it is not fun. You want it very fast. If you don't see results in the first 2 days or the first week, I'm done. That's the mentality of most people. The struggle is too real. We're not patient. We, like, in a world where you can Google the best restaurants around me right now, no one is patient. And for you to lose weight, for you to stop drinking, whatever the hell you're going through, it takes a lot of patience, a lot of time, and a lot of pitfalls, a lot of plateaus. You're gonna hit so many fucking plateaus. If you don't know how to get around that plateau, it's not gonna happen fast.
Here we are as one consciousness, being systematically divided and played off against each other. So we are in conflict and division, and a few hands on the strings of all sides can play us off against each other and therefore go on driving the human family into a Orwellian global dystopia. Up to this point, unchallenged, because we're too busy fighting ourselves. We're not supposed to know that we are all one, because the potential for people coming together in common cause is too great. Coming together in common cause to demand freedom. We are not looking at random events. What is happening now has not just come out of nowhere. It's been planned for enormous amounts of time. And through this process, everything has been put into place so that it can be played out now. As that which has been in the hidden all these decades, all these centuries, has now entered the room and put itself on public display.
What is life? And what is the meaning of life? Does life even have a meaning? Life is consciousness, and it is learning to understand what this consciousness is, what it means, and also to understand where this consciousness lies where it exists in the realm of things. People will say, well, it exists within your head, within your brain. But even as you say this, you know that the statement simply can't be true because it's just too big. All that thought and all that memory. Just stop and look inside yourself and truly perceive your thoughts just for a moment. It's so vast, this realm of space that lies within consciousness. It feels like a whole universe in there, doesn't it? And yet it lies within an intangible nothingness. And it feels like that, because that's exactly what it is. Nothing. Nothingness. But conscious. It's certainly something worth considering. And what is nothingness? Well, Alan Watts summed it up more than eloquently in a statement he made when he said that nothing is what your head looks like to your eyes, and that nothingness is what's watching. And I truly can't think of a better description. Nothingness and consciousness coexists in that space behind your eyes. You can't have something here without having that nothing there. So you need to be aware of that nothingness, the nothingness that lies behind your eyes, because it is within that nothingness that lies consciousness. And it's all connected. It's connected to ourselves, it's connected to each other, and it's connected to everything in the universe. You need to open your minds to see this, and once you've seen it, the more you can begin to realize it. And the more you realize it, you can quite literally feel it physically, like a warmth and a rise in frequency in your body, the true realization that there is no other. There is only one, and all that truly exists within that singularity is love.
My thinking was, if I knew the things from the people that had spontaneous remissions that I studied, what those commonalities were, we should be able to reproduce them, right? So that's why we developed the model of transformation in our workshops. I just did what people already knew how to do and just used the science to explain it. But we had to get people to reproduce it, because anything that's repeatable is a scientific law, or verges on a scientific law. So I wanted to see if we kept doing it, if we were able to produce some type of consistent change.
Thank you so much for watching our video. Please also share your thoughts in the comments. We will see you soon.
What's an area that's important to improve? If your body's great, how about your career? If career's great, how about your relationships? Intimate one especially, or your kids, or your relationship with your creator, your spiritual side of your life. Or is it your finances?
That this is our life, that we're the ones calling the shots. So if you don't feel like doing something, just do it. Just go.
Everyone knows how to do a better job than they're doing. That's not the problem. We do know how. The problem is we're not doing what we know how to do.
I suggest that you understand that you've got to be the one to make it to the finish line. And even when you cross the finish line, prepare yourself for the next race of your life. Because every day you're racing, run fast, run strong, and believe in it, but don't quit understand why you're running. If you ever question why you run, believe, and know there's a purpose behind everything that you do. It is time to run for your life, pushing with everything you have inside of you, running towards an opportunity.
Figure an area that really matters. Decide on that area. Number one, write down what your life is like in that area right now as specifically as possible. So you might say, well, I'm 13.5 pounds overweight, whatever the weight is, whatever the situation is, or my body fat's like this, or I wake up exhausted in the morning, and you write the truth of where you are right now. So you're real clear. Or I'm not in a relationship. I say I want a relationship, but I'm not in one, and I don't seem to find them. All the good ones seem to be gone is my belief. And I really do want one, but I don't have it. Whatever your definition, or I'm in a relationship and I wish I wasn't in a relationship. I'm planning my escape, wherever you are. Or I have a wonderful relationship. We love each other, but there just isn't enough passion.
When you feel like giving up, when you feel like everything is against you, when you feel like the situation is going to get worse and you're nervous and you're scared and you're worried, you have to remember not only who you are, but what species that you are a part of. You're a part of the human race. We have sent people to space. We have created technologies that allow us to talk to people from across the globe. We have cured some of the most potent diseases on the face of the planet. We have created peace. We have come together. We have started movements. We've supported each other through the toughest times in history. We have shown humanity that we can actually fight for something bigger than ourselves, that we can act for things that are outside of who we are. We have shown the world that we can come together for a common good, that we can come together and strive towards achieving a common goal. We are built for challenge.
Just write the truth of where you are. The area you want to change, but write how it is. And then the second step is, this is where you got to be really honest with yourself. What are the rituals that have put me there? Because whatever results you're getting, even if you don't like the results, there's some rituals that are keeping you in that place. There's some rituals of what you eat or don't eat, how you move or don't move, how you sleep or don't sleep. There's some rituals in the lack of variety or spice or energy or focus in an area. There's something you're doing, and it's usually not one thing, it's a bunch of little things that you kind of do consistently whenever you think about getting in a relationship, whenever you think about working out, whenever you think about money. You get yourself in a state of overwhelm. You start thinking about all the things you can't control. Just write down all the rituals you have, and then here's the third step. What do you want? What's your vision? And be really specific. I want to be my fighting weight. I want to be the strongest I've ever felt. I'm going to turn my, whatever it is, be specific. And then, last step, number 4.
We are built for uncertainty. We are built for tough times. We are made for adversity. And we are more powerful together than any enemy we will ever face. We are bigger than this. We will get through this. We are stronger than this. As long as we play our part. You can either be a part of the problem or a part of the solution. You will either help the situation, not only your situation, but the situation of the people in your life and the people on this planet, or you won't. So quiet the fear, quiet the worry, quiet the anxiety, quiet the stress, quiet the frustration, quiet that voice in your mind that tells you that you can't get through this, that things will get worse, that maybe you're just not strong enough. Quiet that voice. Quiet the doubt. Don't let the thoughts that you can't handle this take up any access space in your mind.
You were born to be great. Believe it. There's greatness inside. So stop worrying about what everybody else is doing and start worrying about what you're going to do in order to get the life that you want. In order for you to live the life that you want, you got to do the things that you don't want. In order for you to live the life of luxury, of health, of wealth, of happiness, you've got to make sacrifice. If it comes easy and fast, it's going to leave the exact same way. You can do much better than what you were doing.
Why aren't we? Well, there's an answer to that, and there's your answer. It's paradigms. Paradigms are the problem. Why is it that paradigms are holding us back? Well, I think we have to ask ourselves, what is a paradigm? A paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. And almost all of our behavior is habitual. Joel Barker wrote a book on paradigms way back around 1990. He said to be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Success is a doing. You've got to actually do it.
They really get your fingerprint, before they really feel your breath, before they really get your contribution, before they really feel you. That's what you don't want to happen. You don't want to leave this place without us knowing you were here. All I'm doing is giving my dream a chance. And I'm not extraordinary. You don't get off the hook. You don't get to be let off the hook. I'm an ordinary woman who chooses every day to make one more extraordinary decision.
I've come a long way, but I have a long way to go. I'm on a journey where I've come a long way, but I still have a vision that I have to reach for. And as I'm going on this journey, I'm realizing that there are a few things that are absolutely imperative to keep in mind. Number one, you can't do it alone.
Run towards a victory. Run as hard as you can. You've got to understand why you're running. You have to understand the significance and why you're running. Don't run away from the challenges. Don't run away because it's not going the way you want it to go. Run. Full heart run with everything you have in your heart, your legs moving. Run sometimes. You may ask yourself, how fast can I run? How fast can I get to my destination? But you have to also understand when you're running, you've got to have in your mind that you've got to pace yourself. You've got to be able to pay attention when you're running. Because while you're running, there are going to be obstacles around you, and these obstacles are going to be put in place that may try to distract you, but you've got to keep running. And some days you're going to be slow, and some days you just got to be fast, but make sure when you're running. Please do watch our other motivation videos on the screen now, thank you.
Activity is high priority in the life process to try to get maximum benefit out of what we have available. Activity. Now, here's an important question. What is your philosophy about activity? What about hard work? What about long hours? What about full days? If you're doing something, how hard should you go at it? How much time should you put in? Everybody has to develop their philosophy about activity. Just by way of review, let me quote you. Old Testament says, 6 days activity, 1 day rest. That's called philosophy of ratio of activity. What is a good ratio of rest and activity? Old Testament says 6 days of one, 1 day of the other. We've all got to have a philosophy about activity.
Stop settling for second place, third place, fourth place. Stop settling. Stop being content, being selfish, stubborn. Stop being content just getting by week by week. Some weeks you'll fall behind. Stop being content because when you look in the mirror, at the end of the day, you can't fool the person looking back on you. Everybody on social media ain't the person that you think they are. Because you are great. You are amazing, and I believe in you. If you don't believe in you, I believe in you because that's what it took for me to be great. I've stumbled, I felt.
The first step before anybody else in the world believes it is you have to believe it. There's no reason to have a plan B because it distracts from plan A.
And I think psychologically, the advantage that gives me over a lot of people that I have been in competition with in different situations is it's difficult to take the first step when you look how big. The task is never huge to me. It's always one brick. I believe, and I learned very young, that you don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. There will not be one brick on the face of the earth that's going to be laid better than this brick that I'm going to lay in this next 10 minutes. And you do that every single day, and you have a wall.
I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. You know, while the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working.
The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft.
I always knew that I could work hard enough. There wasn't an issue with discipline, or there wasn't an issue with the ability to sacrifice or the willingness to sacrifice.
There's no easy way around it. No matter how talented you are, your talent is going to fail you if you're not skilled. Mm-hmm. You know, if you don't study, if you don't work really hard and dedicate yourself to being better every single day.
1 year, my father had his shop. He decided for whatever reason that he wanted a new wall on the front of his shop. So he tore down probably about 16 feet high and probably about 30 feet long. We just completed the wall down, and my brother and I had to dig a 6-foot hole. We were mixing the concrete by a year and a half. We were building this wall for a year and a half. Every day after school, we would come and mix the concrete, put it in the hole, doing it, and it was just myself and my little brother. And I remember standing back, looking at that wall, saying, there's going to be a hole here forever. A year and a half later, we laid the final brick, and my father stood back with my brother and I know he planned it. He says he did.
The secret to life is effective management of time and chance. And here's what my message is about tonight. The principal key to management of time and change plan. You cannot control time nor change, but you can plan the way you use them. Successful people are simply people who effectively planned how they use time. Someone said, if you aim at nothing, you will never miss. Planning creates bullseyes. It creates destinies. It creates targets. Without a plan, you are just shooting in the wind. Don't allow another year be a year of just shooting in the wind. Planning is the most important principle of success in life, because the only thing that regulates and change is planning. Oh, I'm a planner. You see, without a plan, time and change will ruin. If you don't plan on what you're going to do, somebody will plan it. The most dangerous person in the Bahamas is a guy named Les. You all know this guy? Dangerous, eh? Let's go this. Let's go do that. Let's go here. Come go with me. Let's go here. Let's go dream this. Les will kill you. The only defense against Les is a plan. When Les said, let's go, tell him, I got a plan already. Go into the new year with a plan that is so strong that time will submit to it and change will become its servant. I put it to you then that next year, I want you to remember what you're about to write. God says is the year of changes in time. The number 13, I did some research for you. Do you know that every single letter in Hebrew is a number? Write that down. You just know that. So when God spoke to Moses and Joshua and Daniel and Joseph, he was speaking in numbers. The Hebrew language is the only language that comes in numbers. Some of you wonder why we use the term 666 for the beast. Well, the word beast in Hebrew is 3 letters, and they actually are all 6 in number. That's the word beast. So when the Bible says the beast shall appear and shall subjugate the earth and shall contaminate the temple, the word beast is 666. It's a number. But do you know what 13 is in Hebrew? It is the word change. Welcome to the year.
And I could understand that it really was, because I was grounded. I've done was doing and continue to this day to do the consciousness work. I work at staying awake. And being awakened is just another word for spirituality, but spirituality throws people off and they think you mean religion. When I was hiring people for my company, for looking for presidents, when people would come in, I'd say, tell me, what is your spiritual practice? And literally would throw, people would go, well, I'm not religious. Or I said, I didn't ask you about your religion. I asked you about your spiritual practice. What do you do to take care of yourself? What do you do to keep yourself centered? What do you do to the, and one woman started crying. So to answer your question, everything is fueled that comes from me really wanting to be a better person on earth. And this is what I know to be true. The reason why the show worked is because I understood that audience, my viewers, the people who watched us every day and would come and, just like you all did, get tickets, and they would come with their family. You all just came across campus, but that's good too. People would come from all over the world just to be there with their aunts and their mothers, and they'd come with their cousins, and there'd be a few men in there going, what? Or saying, well, I went to Oprah with you. I had such regard for that. And I just had a conversation with John Mackey, who runs Whole Foods, and has written this fabulous book. You should get it, called Conscious Capital. And he was talking about how the investment in the stakeholders, the people who you are serving, that connection between the people who you're trying to serve and sell to, is equally as important as the people who you're buying from, equally as important as the people who are, supporting you financially, as your stockholders if you are, a public company. So I always understood that there really was no difference between me and the audience. At times I might have had better shoes, but at the core of what really matters, that we are the same. And you know how I know that? Because all of us are seeking the same thing. You're here at this fabulous school, and we'll go out into the world and each pursue based upon what you believe your talents are, what your skills are, maybe your gifts are, but you're seeking the same thing. Everybody wants to fulfill the highest, truest expression of yourself.
Just because it seems like God is too late doesn't mean that He's not going to come through. Don't be fooled by the circumstances. You may not see anything. The odds are against you. The experts say it's not going to work out. God controls the universe. Don't be impatient for Him to act. Keep believing, keep praying, and every blessing that belongs to you will show up. You won't have to go after it. It's going to come to you. It's going to happen at the time God has planned.
If God can pick me up and dust me off, I bet you He can do the same thing for you. But He can't do it if you don't come to Him. You got to ask Him for help. God wants a relationship with you. He don't want you to call Him every 6 months. He want to hear from you, man. He just want to say, hey, man, God, I appreciate you today. Thank you for waking me up this morning. And the cool thing about God is you ain't got to clear it with nobody. You don't need an appointment. You ain't got to see if He available. He open 24/7. He here all the time. I'm telling you, man. Look at me. You gotta have God. I'm telling you real. You try this without God, you tripping. You tripping. You do this without relationship with God gives you the tools and the weapons to handle life. You can stop thinking that life fitting be easy, because I got news for you, it ain't. That's a false hope to think you're going to have a wonderfully carefree life. That's unthinkable. I made a t-shirt that said, faith don't make it easy. Faith makes it possible. You just need some faith, man. You got to call on God, and when it look like He ain't coming, you got to keep calling on Him. See, the moment you call, let me teach you this one lesson. I'm gonna let you go, I promise. This is short. The way it works is, when you ask God for something, He boxes it up and He delivers it to you immediately. He ships the whatever you ask Him for. If you believe it, He boxes it up and He ships it immediately. The problem with the package, He never tells you the date that the package is going to arrive. If you send it to me in 2020, I'm gonna be here for it. If it ain't coming to 2025, but you know what? He got some pretty good boxes. And I want every box that's got my name on it. Renew your faith. Keep praying. God is always coming. Your package has already been shipped. If you're trying to make it in this world without God in your life, you're making it way harder than it's got to be. I'm telling you, man, I did it. I did it without Him. It does not work. I flunked out of school. I had a severe stuttering problem. I couldn't talk outside my house. I'm on my 3rd marriage. I lost everything I ever owned twice. I've been homeless and lived in a car for 3 years. You can't tell me nothing about what He can't do for you. Nothing. Let me tell you something, man. I've been bottomed out. I'm talking about flat bottomed out. Nothing. I was talking today with my oldest son. He said, man, damn. Every time I hear about something you went through, I just go, how did you make it? I just kept this faith, man. I just kept believing that God didn't bring me this far to leave me. I just kept hearing my mama as a Sunday school teacher saying little scriptures to me. It didn't dawn on me till I got older. I'm telling you, man, I didn't get a car in my name till I was 38 years old. I was 38 before I purchased my first car. 38. Come on, man. I lived in a car for 3 years. I had nothing. But I made a decision, man. I just started talking to God every day. I just started asking Him for help, to hear me. If you call God and you ask Him to hear you, He hears you. I'm just telling you, it's real. God is real, man. Don't let nobody fool you. Listen to me, young people. Don't let nobody fool you.
We all go through things in life that don't make sense. A friend walked out of a relationship. The company's downsizing. They don't need us anymore. Or we were being our best. Then the pandemic hit. Business went down. Children can't go to school. Dreams are put on hold. Sometimes it feels like we're going backwards. It's easy to live frustrated and think, God, why is this happening? But we're not going to understand everything that happens. God's ways are not our ways. He can see things that we can't see. And just because it's not fair doesn't mean that God is not in control. Your steps are being ordered by the Lord. If He allowed it to happen, He's going to bring good out of it. He promises all things work together for your good. On its own, it may not be good. It wasn't fair. You're uncomfortable. But when it all comes together, you're going to see how it works to your advantage. The difficulty, the delay, the betrayal was all instrumental in you reaching your destiny. But none of us like bad breaks, loss, delay. But without that difficulty, you couldn't become who you were created to be. It may look like a dead end, but really it's setting you up for promotion. That door closed so a bigger door could open. That person that left you, it was hurtful, but it wasn't just their choice. God moved them out of the way so He could bring someone better. Well, that struggle was difficult. You didn't do anything wrong, but you had opposition at work. Your child wouldn't do what's right. It wasn't fair, but what you couldn't see is it was growing you up, developing your character, getting you stronger, more confident, more determined. Without it, you wouldn't be prepared for the blessing, the increase, the new levels that are coming your way. You may not understand what you're going through. You could live worried, discouraged. Try a new approach. God, I don't understand it, but I trust You. I know You're in control. You're working all things for my good. So I'm not going to live upset. I'm going to stay in peace, knowing that You will get me to where I'm supposed to be. There are a lot of things we don't understand, trouble that we've never seen. Like Jesus washed the disciples' feet, you're His disciple. If you would have been there, He would have washed your feet. I can imagine Him doing that today. He's saying, you're going to walk through things you don't understand, see difficulties that you've never seen. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to live upset and afraid, but don't worry, I've washed your feet. I've prepared you for what you're going to face. I've armed you with strength for the battle. It may not make sense, but it's all a part of my plan. God is getting you ready for new levels of influence, new levels of favor, new levels of leadership, new levels of resources. Now make sure you keep your shoes of peace on. Don't panic over the pandemic. Don't fear the unknown. Don't lose sleep over what doesn't make sense. God has equipped you, empowered you, and anointed you. You've been raised up for such a time as this. No weapon formed against you will prosper. You keep walking in faith, trusting when you don't understand, and you're going to walk into blessings, favor, healing, freedom, abundance, victory like you've never seen. I've learned when you stay in faith, when you don't understand, you're going to come into blessings that you don't understand. When you trust God, when it doesn't make sense, you're going to come into favor that doesn't make sense. Could it be that the disappointment you're so upset about is really a blessing in disguise? You can't see it, but it's a part of a divine plan, a critical piece that God is going to use years down the road to take you where you've never dreamed. But right now, that situation by itself doesn't make sense. It seems random, just a bad break, when in fact, it's the hand of God setting you up for increase. Without that challenge, you won't see the far and beyond favor that belongs to you. Trust Him when it doesn't make sense. I know this is not easy. We don't like closed doors, unfair situations, being uncomfortable. But God uses these things to move us into our purpose. It's not just the good breaks that will take you into your destiny. The closed doors are as important as the open doors. The betrayals are just as important as the divine connections. God uses them all.